Students, my today's video is related to class ninth students. In this video I will be discuss first chapter of class 9 subject science, that is matter in our surrounding. The first topic of this chapter is matter. What is a matter? Anything anything that occupies space and has mass is called matter. That's meaning in this world whatever thing is there which has their own mass and which occupies some space, that is called matter. Like this is a pen. If you will see it have some mass, and if I will keep it here any place, so it will be occupied some space, so that meaning this is a matter. Same, suppose that is a stone. As we know that stone also have some mass, if I will keep it at some place, it will be also occupy some space, that meaning it is also a matter. So the example of matter like stone, pen, pencil, air, etc. Anything that is lying in this world, that is a matter. The second topic is there, characteristics of matter. Characteristics of matter. The first characteristics of matter is this, कि the particles made up of all the particles made up of very, that meaning all the matter is made up of very small particles. All the matters made up of very small particles which are called which are called atom. That meaning all the matters are made up of very small particles which are called atom. Second point is there, these particles are too small. These particles are too small. Third point is there, these particles are constantly moving. These particles are constantly moving from one place to another place. Fourth point, these particles have space between them. These particles have space between them. Like suppose this is a one particle, this is a second particle of a matter. So whatever space is there in between these two particles, that space is known as intermolecular space. Intermolecular space. Next point is here, particles of matter attract each other. Particles of matter attract each other because of the force of attraction. Meaning is this, suppose this is a one particle of matter, this is the other particle of matter, they are applied a force of attraction to each other. So whatever force they are going to apply to each other, that force is known as intermolecular force. Intermolecular force. After this, the next topic is diffusion. Diffusion. Diffusion meaning intermixing of particles. Intermixing mixing of particles, intermixing of particles of two different types, two different types of matter, two different types of matter on their own is called diffusion, is called diffusion. Like one example I'm giving you, suppose I have a container. In this container I've taken little bit amount of water. As we know that the color of water, nothing, that means that is a colorless. This is colorless. If I will be put two or three drops of blue ink, two or three drops of blue ink, then the color of this container, that meaning in which the water is present, the color of water is going to change to light blue. That meaning the blue ink particles are going to diffuse with the particles of water. This is the first example. The second example is there, like suppose I have a burning of incense stick, incense stick, incense stick. I think so you knows about the incense stick. That meaning this is the agarbatti. If we will burn a incense stick in a room, yeah, in a corner of room, then we will see, yeah, we will get the smell of the, yeah, fragrance of the incense stick in whole room. It's meaning the particles of the fragrance of incense stick is intermixed with the particles of air. That meaning this is also a diffusion. So that is a diffusion. Now next topic is here, that is Brownian, Brownian motion. Brownian motion meaning that is a zigzag movement of particles. Zigzag movement of particles. Zigzag movement of particles is known as Brownian motion या Brownian movement. Brownian motion or Brownian movement. It's very simple. That meaning suppose this is a one particle. This is a one particle. Firstly it is moving in this direction. After that it is moving in this direction. Then it changed direction and it is going in that direction. Then again it change and moving here. Then again it change, it's moving here. Again it change and moving here. That meaning the movement of the particle is not fixed, it can move in any direction. That meaning this is a Brownian motion. Now after this, the next topic I will be discuss about the states of matter. States of matter. If generally I will be discuss about the states of matter, so there are three states of matter. One is solid, one is liquid, and one is gas. Solid, liquid, and gas. That is a generally three states of matter. Two more states of matter are there that I will be discuss with you later. Now if I will be discuss about the solid, liquid, and gas, so it's a very simple. Ki, suppose I have some particles, like these are the some particles that I will be discuss. I'm going to divide these particles in three conditions. That are the one condition in which the particles are very close, that meaning there is a no space. Second condition is there, this is, there is the second condition in which there is a space between the particles. Third condition is this, in which there is a very large space in between the particles. So This is the first condition in which there is a no space. The particles are very close to each other. That is a solid. That meaning in a solid, the particles are very close to each other. There will be the no space. In the second condition, this is for liquid, in which the particles have space between them, but that is a very less space. Third is that is a gas in which the particles are very far to each other. That meaning the space between the particles of gases is maximum. Now, second condition is there, as you will see here, कि in a solid there is a no intermolecular space. In liquid, the intermolecular space is more than solid. In gases, the intermolecular space is maximum. Next, now as we know that there is a no intermolecular space, its meaning the intermolecular force of attraction is maximum in solid. In liquid, the space is little bit, that meaning the intermolecular force of attraction is less than solid. In gases, the intermolecular space is maximum. It's meaning the intermolecular force of attraction is minimum in gases. So intermolecular force of attraction is maximum in solid and minimum in gases. Third point, next point is there, the kinetic energy. As you know कि there is a maximum intermolecular force of attraction. Due to the maximum intermolecular force of attraction, the particles of solids can't be moved from one place to another place. That meaning they have no kinetic energy because they can't move from one place to another place. Second, in liquid, the intermolecular space is more than solid. That meaning they have kinetic energy more than solid. In gases, the intermolecular force of attraction is minimum. That meaning they can move from one place to another place easily. That meaning they have maximum kinetic energy. Next is they are related to shape and volume. That also I will be discuss with you, like suppose this is yeah, simply you can see this is a mobile. You know it have some shape. If you will see here, the shape of this mobile is a cuboid. Its shape is a cuboid, and it have some volume, the volume of cuboid. That meaning this is a solid because it has a fixed shape and fixed volume. In a liquid, if I will be discuss, suppose I have two container. One container, this is of cylindrical container, and one container, this is of spherical container. I have 500 ml of water, that is a fixed volume. Now I have put it the 500 ml of water in this container, that is a cylindrical. This is a 500 ml of water in this cylindrical container. Now as you know that the 500 ml of water, if I will put in a cylindrical container, then it will be take the shape of a cylinder. If the same amount of water I will put in a spherical container, then it will be take the shape of a sphere. That meaning the volume is remain, sorry, the, if you will see it here, in the container, in the liquid condition, the volume is remain same. This is also 500 ml and this is also 500 ml, but the shape is different. Here this is a cylindrical shape and here is a spherical shape. The its meaning in this, its meaning in both the condition, if you will see, the volume is remain same but the shape is different. That meaning in a liquid, they have a fixed volume but different shape. Now the next is for gases. The gases, they neither have definite shape or nor volume. Very simple, we know that if I will be see air, if I will be see in any container, if I will be keep the air, so the air will be not a fixed shape, because if in I will put in the one container, its shape is different, another container the shape is different, another container the shape is different, and the volume is also different because they have a very large space in between their particles, so they can move one place to another place easily. Next is the solid have high density. High density meaning because they are very tight. They are very tight. There is a no space like this. They have high density because there is a no space, or we can say that they have tight. In a liquid, the density is less than solid, and in a gases they have minimum density. The next point is that is their compressibility. Again, I will be discuss the same thing. Suppose this is the solid, this is the liquid, and this is the gas particle. If you will see it here, in a solid, if there is a no space, if I want to compress it, they are not going to compress. That meaning they are not compressed easily. Solid are not compressible. In a liquid, there is a space, little bit space is there. If I will be compress it, so they will be compressed but very less. So that meaning liquid can compress but in very less amount. In gases, the space is maximum. If I will compress, so easily they can compress it. That meaning the compressibility is maximum in gases. Thank you. The rest of the topic I will be discuss in my next video. Good morning, students. Today in this video, I will be discuss the first chapter of chemistry, that is the matter in our surrounding. Chapter name is there, matter in our surrounding. In related to this chapter, the first topic already I have discussed with you related to matter, solid, liquid and gas, and the difference between solid, liquid and gas. Today's topic I will be discussed, that is the diffusion. What is a diffusion? Diffusion meaning intermixing of one kind of particles, into another particles is called diffusion. Meaning is this: suppose I have two things. Suppose this is a particles, that are the particles of substance A, and here the particles of substance B. This is the particles of substance B. I have added the particles of substance A in particle B. Then this will be coming in this way. That meaning they are going to intermix. So this intermixing of one kind of particles into another, that is called diffusion. Simply, if I will be discuss related to diffusion, then the rate of diffusion is faster in gases. That meaning if I will see, so this is fastest in gases and slowest in solid. The point is here why it is fastest in gases, because in the gases there is a lots of space between the two particles of matter. That is why the other particles can be easily intermixed, easily coming in between these two particles. That is why the rate of diffusion is fastest in gases and slowest in solid. In solid it is slowest because there is no space between the two particles of solid. That is why that is very slowest in solid. Now I will be discuss the diffusion in gases, how the diffusion in gases is going to take place. Diffusion in gases. Diffusion in gases. All the three conditions I will be discuss with you. One, diffusion in gases, diffusion in liquid, diffusion in solid. So firstly I will be discuss diffusion in gases, कि how the diffusion in gases is going on. That is very simple. Suppose I am having two cylinder. This is a cylinder 1, yeah, cylinder A. In this cylinder I fill up the air. I fill up the air. This is a cylinder A and this is a cylinder B. In this cylinder B I fill up the bromine gas. This is the bromine gas that I have filled up, which is brown in color. This is Br2 gas, which is brown in color. And we know that there is a no color of air, so we are not able to see the air. Now, what to do? I have put it the cylinder A. This is the cylinder B. On the upside of cylinder B, I put it the cylinder A. In this way, I put it the cylinder A on the upside of cylinder B. This is, and from here I open it. This is the cylinder B. This is the cylinder A. I know that in cylinder B, what's bromine gas is there. So this is a gas. So easily it can move from one place to another place because the kinetic energy is maximum in gases due to the maximum space between the particles of matter. So easily it can be moved from one place to another place. So this particles of bromine gas, they are going to intermix with the particles of air. So what we have seen, after some time in both the containers, the brown bromine gas we are able to see. That meaning the bromine gas particles are intermixed with the particles of gases. So this is the simple example of the diffusion of gases. Now second, I will be take the diffusion of gases, the other example. That is the very simple experiment is there. The other example is there for the diffusion of gases. How I will be discuss this? कि very simple is there, the fragrance of burning iron stick. Fragrance of burning iron stick. Iron stick meaning that is a agarbatti, incense stick. This is incense stick. That meaning this is the agarbatti. If I will be burn the incense stick in one corner of the room, suppose this is a room, that is a room suppose, and in this corner I have burned the incense stick. So what's happened here, the fragrance of this incense stick in the form of gas intermix with the particles of air and reach to each and every corner of the room. That meaning the smoke that are comes out from the incense stick, so in that smoke some fragrance is there. So this fragrance particles are intermixed with the particles of air and transfer from one place to another place easily. So we can say that this is also the example of diffusion in gases. The other example of diffusion in gases that I will discuss, the smell of food being cooked in the kitchen. The smell of, second example is there, the of smell of food being cooked, food being cooked reach, cooked in the kitchen reach, in the kitchen reach us, reach us even from a considerable distance, reach us even from a considerable distance. How it will be possible? That is also very simple. Suppose I will be discuss कि I have a house. In that house, here suppose this is the hole I'm taking here. This is the house totally, and on this corner we have a kitchen. This is the kitchen, and here the students are sitting in one room. This is the room where any person, any student is sitting there, and the mother is going to cook the food in the kitchen. As she is going to cook the food, then the smell of, yeah, fragrance of that food, whatever she is going to cooked in the kitchen, its particle is intermixed with the particles of air, because air is present in each and every corner. So with the help of these particles, the fragrance of the cooked food is reached to the every corner of the room, in that meaning considerable distance. That are saying cooked in the kitchen reach us even from a considerable distance. How is it possible? That is due to the process of diffusion, because during this process the cooked food smell particles are intermixed with the particles of air, and with the help of air particle it will be transferred from one place to another place, and easily it will reach to the other room. So that meaning with the help of the process of diffusion we can smell that the food is cooked in the kitchen. Which food is going to cooked in the kitchen? Now that is so related to the diffusion of gases. Now I will be discuss that is a diffusion in liquid. This is also very simple. This is diffusion in liquid. Diffusion in liquid. Diffusion in liquid. This is diffusion in liquid. In a liquid the process of diffusion is slow than the gases. That meaning it is slower than gases. Why? Because in the liquid particle there is less space in the comparison of gas, so the kinetic energy is less than the gaseous particle, so they can't move in that much of speed as the gas particles can be moved. So if I will discuss the example of this, so that is related to very simple. Suppose I've taken a container. This is a container. Simply example you can see at your home also. You can take a container in which you have fill up the water. Now everyone have ink at their home, so 2 or 3 drops of blue ink. I'm adding here 2 to 3 drops of blue ink. You can add blue ink or red ink or black ink, any ink whatever you have, that you can intermix with that particle, with the intermix in this container in which we have filled up the water. What you have seen, as you are going to add it the ink, whatever color of ink you are going to add it, you will see the container, in the container water particles are present that intermix with the particles of ink, and they will be give us that same color, that is little bit light, but that color we are getting it in the container. The other example you can see, suppose I am going to add it the blue ink. If I am going to add it the blue ink in water, so what I will be see, the color of that water particle is going to blue. The color of that water particle is going to blue. Why it's happened? Because the blue ink particles are intermixed with the particles of water. That meaning this is the diffusion in liquid. If you don't have the ink at your home, then the other example that you can check it, everyone had to have Neel. Mostly you can see that is a Ujala, that is a work as a Neel. Whenever your mother is going to wash the cloth, she is going to especially in a white color cloth, she is applied some Neel, bluish color. In some places it is available in the form of Ujala also. Whenever you are going to add it 2 or 3 drops of that Neel, so what you have seen, the water that are present in the container intermix with the particles of that Neel, and that give us a blue color. So this is also the example of diffusion in liquid. Now I will be discuss the third point, that is a diffusion in solid. Diffusion in solid, that is diffusion in solid, that is very simple. Now that I will correlate with your school, like when the last day was there of your school, then might be some teacher has written some word. Suppose I was there and I have written one word, that is a diffusion on that board, suppose. And after now at least more than 1.5 month is going to pass. Now whenever the school will be open and I will reach to the school, I will try to rub it. Then what I will be see, some dot particles are remain on the board like this. Some dot particles, whatever diffusion I will rub it, in place of diffusion after rubbing, some dot particles are left on the board. That meaning the particles of chalk are intermixed with the particles of green board. That is why that is not rubbed easily, so they are left it there. So this is the example of diffusion in solid. That is the diffusion and the types of diffusion that I have discussed in liquid, gases and solid. Now if I will be see the rate of diffusion, that is very simple. It is slowest in solid, then in more than solid in liquid, and the maximum in gas. So this is the increasing order of rate of diffusion. Now next point is there कि what happen when I will be increase the temperature on diffusion. Very simple, by increasing the temperature the rate of diffusion is increased. That is very simple. Suppose I am having a water particle here and from this side I am going to increase the temperature. Suppose that is the particle available here in the water. In this way I will be increase the temperature. So by increasing the temperature, so whatever force of attraction is there between these two particles, it is going to break and they can move easily from one place to another place in the container. So that meaning by increasing the temperature, the force of attraction between the two particles, that is going to decrease, or we can say that by decreasing the rate of diffusion increase. So we can say that by increasing the temperature the rate of diffusion is increase. In this video I will discuss the everything related to diffusion. I hope you have understand. In my next video I will be come with another topic, that is the temperature and some common unit of temperature. Thank you. Good morning students. In my previous video I have discussed with you about the diffusion. Now I will be discuss with you like related to temperature and unit of temperature. If I will be discuss with you the temperature, what is a temperature? So temperature, this is a degree of hotness and coldness. Degree of hotness and coldness, that is called temperature. That meaning ki how much a substance is hot and how much a substance is cold. Suppose this is a substance and this is a substance. By touching it we can say that ki one substance is hot and one substance is cold. So that is how we can explain, that is the degree of hotness and coldness, ki how much that substance is hot and how much that substance is cold. That is a very simple ki degree of hotness and coldness, that is called temperature. Now what are the unit of temperature, in which unit we can measure the temperature? That is units of temperature. If commonly I will be see, so one to degree Celsius, second is Kelvin, and third is degree Fahrenheit. That are the common unit of temperature. Now if I will be discuss the SI unit of temperature, so SI unit of temperature is Kelvin. This is the SI unit of temperature. SI unit. That meaning if they are in the exam, they are asking you what is the SI unit of temperature. SI meaning standard international unit. So that is the Kelvin. Now I will be discuss the relation between the units. Suppose I will be discuss firstly the degree Celsius and Kelvin. That meaning relation between degree Celsius and Kelvin. Degree Celsius and Kelvin. That is very simple. The relation is there. 0 degree Celsius equal to 273.15 Kelvin. The exact value is this 273.15. But in some books it's mentioned 273 also. So there is no problem. They have taken the round of values, and but that is the exact values. 0 degree Celsius equal to 273.15 Kelvin. Suppose now I will be discuss with you to convert, yeah, what is the boiling point, what is the boiling point of water in degree Celsius and in Kelvin. So in degree Celsius, so we know that the boiling point of water, that is the boiling point of water, that will be in degree Celsius is 100 degrees Celsius. This is the boiling point of water. That meaning at 100 degrees Celsius the water is going to boil up. That I will discuss ki how it is going to boil up. Now I want to write in Kelvin also. So this is the relation between the degree Celsius and Kelvin. If I want to write 100 degrees Celsius, I want to convert 100 degrees Celsius into Kelvin, then I will be added this. So that meaning 100 degrees Celsius equal to 100 plus 273.15, that much of Kelvin. So this is 373.15 Kelvin. So very simply I can say that if I want to convert degree Celsius into Kelvin, then I will be added it there 273.15 Kelvin. So I can say that 0 degree Celsius equal to 0 plus 273.15, that much of Kelvin. Now if you want to convert Kelvin into degree Celsius, then how to convert Kelvin into degree Celsius? On that time what's happen, what you will be do? So this is the Kelvin and you want to convert into degree Celsius, so this much is going to subtract. That meaning from the degree Celsius you have to subtract 273.15. So 0 minus 273.15, that much of degree Celsius. These are the two relations between the degree Celsius and Kelvin. Now lots of example I can discuss with you, like suppose I want to write boiling point of water, that I have discussed. Now freezing point of water, freezing point of water, freezing point of water, that is 0 degrees Celsius. If you want to convert them into Kelvin, then 0 plus 273.15. So this is coming 273.15 Kelvin. This is, now suppose I have a temperature of 40 degrees Celsius and I will say to convert into Kelvin. So it's very simple. This is 40 plus 273.15. So this is coming what? This is 3, 7 plus 4, 11, carry 1, 2 or 1, 3, 313.15 Kelvin. So that is a very simple to convert degree Celsius into Kelvin and Kelvin into degree Celsius. Now suppose I have 373.15 Kelvin. I want to write it in degree Celsius, then how I will write it? This will be 373.15 minus 273.15. So whatever 273.15 is there, that I am going to minus it, then I am getting it a degree Celsius. So this is coming 100 degree Celsius. So that is very simple way to convert degree Celsius into Kelvin and Kelvin into degree Celsius. Now I will be discuss with you the relation between Celsius and Fahrenheit scale. That is the important relation, and lots of time the question they can ask in exam. That is relation between degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit. Relation between degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit. That is, What is the relation? The relation is very simple. This is C upon 5. C upon 5 meaning degree Celsius upon 5 equal to, that is F minus, that meaning degree Fahrenheit minus 32 upon 9. This is the relation between degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit. Suppose you want to convert degree Fahrenheit into degree Celsius, then the formula is there, degree Celsius equal to 5 degree Fahrenheit minus 32 upon 9. This is the relation. By this you can convert degree Fahrenheit into degree Celsius. Suppose I am giving you 20 degree Fahrenheit is there. Yeah, that I mentioned it 20 degree Fahrenheit. I want to convert into degree Celsius. Then this value of degree Fahrenheit, can put it here. So degree Celsius equal to what will be 5 upon 9. This is 20 minus 32. So what will be there? 5 multiplied 20 minus 32 minus 12 upon 9. 3 3 is a 9, 3 4 is a 12. This is 4 5 is a 20. This is a minus 20 upon 3. So that much of degree Celsius is there. If you will convert it, this will be coming 6.66666. That means 6.6 bar degree Celsius. So this is a way to convert degree Fahrenheit into degree Celsius. Now suppose you want to convert degree Fahrenheit into degree Celsius, then how to do? So on that time, degree Fahrenheit equal to what? This is 9 multiplied degree Celsius upon, this is degree Fahrenheit, or you can say in this way, the formula I am telling you how that will be coming. You have to do the cross multiply. This will be 5 degree Fahrenheit minus 32 in bracket and equal to 9 degree Celsius. This is, now degree Fahrenheit minus 32 equal to 9 degree Celsius upon 5, because 5 will be coming in divide. So degree Fahrenheit equal to 9 upon 5 minus 32 will be coming here. This is a degree Celsius plus 32. This is the relation. Suppose they are giving you the question to convert 20 degrees Celsius in degree Fahrenheit. So in this place, so this will be 9 degrees Celsius is what? 20 multiplied 20 upon 5 plus 32. 5 for the 20, 9 for the 36 plus 32. Added there, 6 or 2, 8, 3 or 3, 6. So that much of degree Fahrenheit is there in 20 degree Celsius. So that are the relation between degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit. Now very famous question is there. Lots of time they are asking in competition also, or in a exam also they are going to ask the question. The relation I mentioned here in front of you, they are asking ki at what temperature the value of degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit are equal. Question is there, at what temperature the value of degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit are equal. Means at what temperature the value of both of these are equal. I suppose that at x degree Celsius their values are equal. Suppose at x, at what temperature, at x temperature, and suppose that x temperature the value of degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit are equal. That meaning now you have to put in the place of degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit the value of x. So in the place of degree Celsius, x upon 5 equal to degree Fahrenheit is x minus 32 upon 9. Now cross multiply, 9 multiply x equal to 5 multiply x, 5x, 5 multiply minus 32. This is 5 to the 10, 0, carry 1, 5 to the 15 or 1, 16. 5x is coming here. This will be the minus. So I can say that this is 9x minus 5x equal to minus 160. This is 4x equal to minus 160. So x equal to minus 160 upon 4. 4 for the 16, 0. So x equal to minus 40. That meaning at 40 degree the value of degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit are equal. So at 40 degree, minus 40 degree, the value of degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit are equal. That you keep in your mind also, or you know how to solve it. Because if that will be in MCQs portion, then directly you can mention the answer. Otherwise, if they are asking to solve it, then you can use this way to solve it. I hope you have understand related to that temperature and the units of temperature, how to convert degree Celsius and Kelvin, and how to convert degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit. So in my this video I will explain you till this topic. I will become very soon to the next topic, the first chapter, that was matter in our surrounding. Thank you. Good morning, students. Today I am coming in front of you with the topic of chapter first. That is, chapter first is matter in our surrounding, and the topic is their effect of change of temperature. That meaning, suppose I have three states of matter that you know, that is solid, liquid, and gas. So what is the effect of change of temperature, that I will be discuss with you here. Suppose I have three states of matter. One is solid, one is liquid, and that one is gas. Now three states are available here: solid, liquid, and gas. Now I'm going to change them. Suppose solid is going to convert into liquid, this is, then liquid is convert into gas. After that, gas is convert into liquid, and liquid is convert into solid. Then solid is convert into gas, and gas is convert into solid. Now the point is here, in this way, that meaning from solid to gas if I am moving, so this is by increasing in temperature, by increasing in temperature. If I'm moving from gas to solid side, then this will be by decreasing in temperature, that is by decreasing in temperature. Now suppose I mention here, this is a process A, this is the process B, this is the process C, process D, process E, and process F. Now they are asking about the name of the process, that is A, B, C, D, E, and F. So very simple is there, you can check out कि in this process a solid is converted into liquid by increasing the temperature. So the process by which a solid is converted into liquid, that is only by increasing the temperature. So what is this? That is melting. If I will discuss the process in which solid is converted into liquid by increasing the temperature, that is called melting. So example, if I will discuss with you, suppose I am having a ice, this is in solid form, this is in solid form. I'm going to increase the temperature of this ice. So what I will be see, the ice is going to converted into water, so that meaning ice is going to melt it. So the process is called melting, the process is called melting. So same is here, the process A, that is called melting, because in this process a solid is converted into liquid by increasing the temperature. So the name of the process A, this is melting. Now the point is there कि what is melting? Melting is a process in which a solid substance is converted into liquid by increasing the temperature. That is, the process name is melting. Now here you will see here liquid is converted into gas by increasing the temperature. So the what is the name of this process? So very simple is there. Suppose I am having a water in one container. This is the water. I am going to increase the temperature. So one time will come when the water is going to converted into vapor. So that meaning this process is called vaporization. So same is available here. You can see a liquid is converted into gas on heating by the process B. So this process B is known as vaporization. So process B, that is called Vaporization. Vaporization is a process in which a liquid is converted into gas on heating or by increasing the temperature. Now, I will be discuss about this. A gas is converted into liquid by decreasing the temperature. You can see by decreasing the temperature, that meaning by cooling. By cooling, decreasing the temperature meaning we are going to cool it. So what is the name of the process by which a gas is converted into liquid? Very simple, you know, whenever the water vapor will be there and they are converted into a raindrop. So what is the name of that process? That process is known as condensation. So that meaning the process C, that is called condensation. So that meaning a process in which a gas is converted into liquid on cooling, that is called condensation. Now next is a liquid is converted into solid. Very simple is there. Suppose I am taking a water and I am going to keep in a freezer. So what's happened? This water is converted into ice. This is a solid form and this is the liquid form. This is a liquid form and this is a solid form. So that meaning what is there? The water is going to freeze, or that is a solidified. So we can say that the process in which a liquid is converted into solid by cooling, that is called freezing or solidification. So this process D, that is freezing or solidification. So that meaning the process in which a liquid is converted into solid by cooling, that is called freezing or solidification. Now the next is there, that is totally new for you, a process in which a solid is converted into gas by heating or by increasing the temperature, that is called sublimation. Sublimation. That meaning a process in which a solid is converted into gas without comes in liquid state. Directly it is going to convert into gas, without comes in liquid state on heating, that is called sublimation. So the process E is sublimation. Now if you see in the process F, is the process in which a gas is converted into solid without coming liquid state on cooling, that is called desublimation. Desublimation. That meaning the process F is desublimation. The example of sublimations are lots of camphor. You know about the camphor, that meaning that is a kapoor. If you will take the camphor in one container and you have to try to heat it, by heating what you will be see, the camphor is directly converted into gaseous form. It will not come in liquid form. That meaning the camphor is the simplest example of sublimation. So I hope you have understand all the process name whatever I have discussed in interconversion of solid into liquid, liquid into gas, solid into gas, or gas into solid. In my next video I will be discuss the another topic. I hope you have understand. Thank you. Good morning students. Today I will be discuss of chapter first, matter in our surrounding, the topic sublimation. In my previous lecture I have explained you all the interconversion in which I have told you that sublimation also. So what is a sublimation? Sublimation, it is a process in which a solid is directly convert into gas without comes in liquid state, without comes in liquid state on heating, that is called sublimation. The lots of examples are there for sublimation, like camphor, that meaning we know that is a kapoor. Second example is there ammonium chloride. Ammonium chloride, this is also a sublime substance. Naphthalene bowl, naphthalene bowl. This is also a sublime substance. So that meaning the substances which will be do the process of sublimation, or which will show the process of sublimation, they are called sublime substance. Lots of examples are there related to sublime substance. Only three examples I have discussed with you here. Now I will be explaining you the process of sublimation. Like suppose I am having a mixture of ammonium chloride, ammonium chloride and common salt, ammonium chloride and common salt, and I want to separate both of them. So how to separate it? Very simple is there. We know that ammonium chloride is a sublime substance which can be converted directly into gas, so easily we can separate them, because that is the converted into gas. So what is left in the container? That is a common salt. So very simply we can do the process of sublimation to separate both of them. Now how to separate it, that I will be show you. Now suppose I have to separate this process, I will be take a inverted funnel. Suppose this is a inverted funnel I have taken. This is a inverted funnel I have taken, and I am taking here one china dish. This is a china dish in which I have taken a mixture of ammonium chloride and common salt. This is the mixture of ammonium chloride and common salt. From the bottom side I am going to heat it, and the top portion of this funnel I'm going to close it with the help of cotton. So I can say that this is a cotton plug, ki the vapor of ammonium chloride should not go outside. Now during the heating, what will we see here? The ammonium chloride, that is a sublime substance, so during heating it is converted into vapor. So the vapor of ammonium chloride is coming on the wall of the funnel, that is the inner wall of the funnel, because that is, as it is converted into gas, it will becomes up, rise up. So the inner wall of the funnel is cool. So during the cool, due to this cool process, the vapor of ammonium chloride is comes in the form of water droplet, in the form of droplets, which are collected on the wall of inner wall of the funnel. By as they are going to collect it, we have to remove the funnel from here, and the ammonium chloride is going to separate out, and the common salt will remain in the china dish. So this is the process of sublimation that in more detail I will discuss with you in second chapter. But that is enough for this chapter, ki how that is going to separate out. Now I will be discuss with you people. The topic is evaporation. Ki what is evaporation? What is evaporation? If I will discuss here, now the topic is evaporation. Evaporation. Two things are available here. One is a vaporization and one is a evaporation. That meaning the process of a liquid changing into vapor below its boiling point. The point is here. If I discuss the evaporation, the process of changing of liquid into vapor below its boiling point, that is called evaporation. Keep in your mind, again I am speaking, if a liquid is converted into vapor below its boiling point, that is called evaporation. But if any liquid is converted into vapor at its boiling point, then this is known as vaporization. That is known as vaporization. Like water, suppose I am having a water in any container. Suppose this is the container in which I am having the water. I am going to heat it. What I will be see, some water is going to convert into vapor, on that time the temperature is not 100 degrees Celsius. So that means that is the evaporation. But as the temperature is 100 degrees Celsius, because we know that the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. As the temperature is going to 100 degrees Celsius, then all the water is converted into vapor. So that meaning this process is known as vaporization. Below its boiling point, that is the evaporation, and at its boiling point, that is the vaporization. Now if I will discuss the evaporation, so here what are the factors which affect the evaporation? What are the factors which affect the process of evaporation? That is the very large factors which affect the process of evaporation. First is temperature. Very simply, if I will be increase the temperature, then the rate of evaporation increase, because by increasing the temperature, the kinetic energy of the water particles increase and the force of attraction between the particles decrease. Therefore the particle easily move from one place to another place or convert into vapor easily. So we can say that by increasing the temperature, the rate of evaporation increase, or by decreasing the temperature, the rate of evaporation decrease. That I will discuss you one example. Suppose I have a hot day and one is a cold day, and you are going to wash the cloth. The same cloth you are keep in the hot day, you have to put on the hot day, and the same cloth you are going to keep in atmosphere in the cold day. But you will see in the hot day that cloth is going to dry early in the comparison of cold day. The reason behind it, because in the hot day the temperature is very high, so the rate of evaporation is increased. All the water particles that are present in the wet cloth, it is going to evaporate easily during the heat of that time, and the cloth is going to dry. But in the cold day the temperature is going to decrease, so the rate of evaporation, that means the water particles that are present in the clothes, it is not going to evaporate easily. So we can say that the rate of evaporation is going to decrease. So by increasing the temperature, the rate of evaporation increase. Now the second point is there for this, that is surface area. That is surface area which affect the rate of evaporation. Second point is there, surface area. Very simple, it is there. By increasing the surface area, rate of evaporation increase. How it will be there, that I can explain you with the help of one example. Suppose you have 10 ml of tea in a glass, hot tea. This is a 10 ml hot tea in a glass, and the same 10 ml of hot tea you are having in a plate. This is the 10 ml of hot tea. What we will see in the hot tea, whatever we have in a plate, that is going to cool easily. Why? Because the surface area of the plate is more than the surface area of glass. So the rate of evaporation increase. So and the tea which is lying in the plate or saucer, that is going to cool easily. So that meaning, as I will increase the surface area, the rate of evaporation increase. Now the other example I will be discuss with you, that is also very simple. Suppose we have 100 ml of water. I have two containers. In one container is this, and the same second container is this. Here also 100 ml of water, and here also 100 ml of water. This is the container A and this is the container B. The container A water, suppose this is a surface roof surface, and the water that are present in the container A, I have to split it here. All the water I have to split it here. Now what I will be see, 100 ml of water whatever I have split up in the roof surface. So after some time I will be see the water that I split it here, that is going to evaporate, that is finished from the surface easily, yeah, early in the comparison of the water that are lying in the container of B. So that meaning the surface area of the roof is high, that is why the same amount of water evaporate easily, whereas in this container the surface area is low, so it is not going to evaporate easily. So same again we can say that by increasing the surface area the rate of evaporation increase. Now the next is there, this is wind speed. This is wind speed. Wind speed, this is also very simple. By increasing the wind speed the rate of evaporation increase. How that we can discuss. Suppose we have one example I am giving you. Suppose you have two clothes, equal amount of wet both the clothes, and one cloth you are keeping under the fan, under the fan, and one cloth you are keeping in front of the cooler, in front of the cooler. You know that the fan speed is slow, the speed of fan is slow, whereas the speed of cooler is high. So the cloth which is lying in front of the cooler, it is going to dry early in the comparison of the cloth which are keeping under the fan. The reason is there because the air which are coming out from the cooler, its speed is high. Due to this high speed the more amount of water droplets are evaporate in the comparison of the cloth that is lying under the fan. So simply we can say that by increasing the speed the rate of evaporation increase. Now the fourth point is there, this is the humidity of air. Humidity of air. Humidity of air. Humidity of air. The meaning of humidity what is? The number of water droplets which are present in atmosphere, that is the humidity. First of all, number of water droplets. Number of water droplets which are present in atmosphere, that is called humidity. Now they are talk about the humidity of air. So that is very simple. The humidity of air is low, then the rate of evaporation is high. That meaning low humidity, high evaporation. High evaporation. Low humidity meaning less number of water droplets. Less number of water droplet, that meaning temperature high. Temperature high. So very simple, less number of water droplets, that meaning the temperature is more, so humidity is low. So by the high temperature the evaporation increase. So we can say that at a low humidity area the rate of evaporation is high. So these are the factors which affect the rate of evaporation. Now after this I will be discuss you one more fact, that is cooling caused by evaporation. Cooling caused by evaporation, that is the evaporation. Now what is the cause of cooling? So that is cooling caused by evaporation. Why it's happen कि after the process of evaporation we feel coolness. The very simple example I'm giving you, suppose we have a perfume and you are going to spray the perfume on your palm. Whenever we have to spray perfume on our palm, then we'll feel coldness. What is the reason? By spraying the perfume on our palm we are feeling cold, or if you will spray the deo also, then also you are feeling little bit coolness in place of in the comparison of other body parts on that part on which you are going to spray it. Very simple reason is there. The perfume or deo in which the substances which are present, they are volatile. They are volatile meaning those can be converted easily in vapor. Two word is there, one is a volatile and non-volatile. Volatile and non-volatile. Volatile meaning which convert into vapor easily, which convert into vapor easily, and non-volatile meaning which does not convert into vapor easily. That is the meaning. So the substances which are present in perfume or deo, they are volatile in nature. So as we are going to spray on our part, suppose this is the part of our body where we are going to spray the perfume. So what they will do it, they will be take the heat from the part of this area of our body, and they are going to evaporate it. By taking the heat, they are going to evaporate. They take the heat from our the particular body part on which we are going to spray. So due to that, the temperature of that body part is going to decrease and will feel coolness, So that is very simple reason why cooling caused by the process of evaporation. Because during the process of evaporation, the substances which is going to evaporate, it will take the heat from that surface. Due to taking the heat, the temperature of that surface is going to decrease, therefore we feel cool. So that is a simple reason for cooling caused by evaporation. Now one or two topics are left. That topic is latent heat. Latent heat and their type, that I will be discussing with you in my next video. Thank you. Good morning students. Today in this video I will be discuss the latent heat and the types of latent heat. Latent heat, that is meaning hidden heat. Hidden heat meaning that is not measured by the thermometer. With the help of thermometer we are not able to measure that type of heat. That is called the latent heat. That proper definition I will be discuss with you. Then the amount of heat which is required to convert the state of a substance. That meaning amount of heat which is required to convert the state of matter. Convert the state of matter meaning is this: suppose I have a substance in solid state and I want to convert it into liquid state, so it needs some heat. So whatever heat I will be supplied to convert this solid into liquid or liquid into gas. So whatever heat we have to supply to change the state of matter, that is called latent heat, which is not measured by the thermometer. Because in this condition the temperature whatever we are given, that is going to overcome to the change of states of matter. Now there are two types of latent heat. One is the latent heat of fusion and one is the latent heat of vaporization. One is latent heat of fusion and second is latent heat of vaporization. Now I'm talking about the latent heat of fusion. latent heat of fusion. Fusion meaning a conversion of solid into liquid. Fusion meaning melting. Fusion meaning melting. That meaning the conversion of solid into liquid. Conversion of solid into liquid. So that meaning the amount of heat required, amount of heat required to convert 1 kg of solid into liquid. 1 kg of solid into liquid, that is called latent heat of fusion. Suppose I have 1 kg of ice and I want to convert it into liquid state, and I'm giving it 20 kilojoule of heat. By giving the 20 kilojoule of heat, this 1 kg of ice is converted into liquid. That meaning the latent heat of fusion of ice is 20 kg. This is the only example I've taken. It's not the exact value, only one example I've taken here. The same as it is the latent heat of vaporization. Vaporization meaning the conversion of liquid into vapor. So that meaning amount of heat required, to convert 1 kg of liquid into vapor. 1 kg of liquid into vapor, that is called latent heat of vaporization. Like suppose I am having a liquid, that is a 1 kg of liquid, and I want to convert it into vapor in state. So by giving 30 kilojoule of heat, this liquid is converted into vapor. So we need 30 kilojoule of energy to convert liquid into vapor. So that means 30 kilojoule is the latent heat of vaporization of that liquid. So that is a very simple latent heat. And there are two types of latent heat of fusion and latent heat of vaporization. Again I am telling you, latent heat of fusion meaning the amount of heat required to convert 1 kg of solid into liquid, because fusion meaning melting. So whatever amount of heat we require to convert 1 kg of solid into liquid, that is called latent heat of fusion. Same, vaporization meaning the conversion of liquid into vapor. So that meaning whatever amount of heat is required to convert 1 kg of liquid into vapor, that is called latent heat of vaporization. I hope you understand this topic about the latent heat and the types of latent heat. Now after this, the most of the part of this chapter is completed, whatever I have explained in my previous videos. In my next video, I will discuss with you some questions related to this chapter. Thank you. Good morning, students. Today in this video, I will be discuss some activities related to chapter first of class 9, that is matter in our surrounding. Like first activity I am discuss with you, we have to show, that meaning first activity is there, show that gases are more compressible in the comparison of liquid and solid. Now we want to show the compressibility of gases in the comparison of liquid and solid. Compressibility. Now to explain here, to show this, first of all we will take three piston. Here three syringe I am taking. Suppose this is the syringe first that I have taken. This is syringe first, this is syringe second, and this is syringe 3, syringe third. from all the syringe I've removed the piston. Now this is first, second, third. The nozzle of all the three syringes, nozzle meaning this is the point, that I have to close it with the help of a cotton plug. I have to close it. Now in syringe first I'm going to put some sugar particle, yeah, any solid, any solid sugar particle. You can fill it, you can fill it the any more solid particles in the syringe first. Suppose till this point I have filled it. Now I have applied the piston on this syringe. Now I'm going to apply the piston. This is the piston that I have applied. Now this is, that meaning till this sign I have filled up the solid and applied the piston. Now in the second syringe I'm going to fill up the water, the same sign, that is I'm going to fill up the water, and same I'm going to apply the piston from the above side, that I have applied the piston. After applied the piston, same in the third syringe nothing I have filled it, as we know that air is present in each and every place, that meaning air is available here, and I have to apply the piston on the same place. This is, I have applied the piston. Now after this I'm going to compress each piston with the same pressure. Suppose I am applied the pressure of 2 Newton here, the same pressure of 2 Newton here, the same pressure of 2 Newton, that means force I am going to apply, sorry, I am going to apply the force that is of 2 Newton. Now after applying the force, what we have seen, there is a no change in the position of piston. There is a no change in the position of piston of the syringe first, because in the syringe first solid particles are filled, and we know that there is a no space between the two solid particles. So that means if there is a no space, so they are not going to compress. So by applying the force, we have seen there is a no change in the position of piston in syringe first, in which we have filled up the solid. Whereas in syringe second, in which we have filled up the liquid, by applying the same force, what we have seen, little bit changing are there, little bit changing are there, that meaning till this position, suppose the changing are there, the water particles are going to compress little much, not too much, that is a little bit. The reason why they are going to compress, because there is a less space between the particles of liquid, that is why they can be compressed, but in very small amount. The same force whenever I have applied on the third piston, in which we have filled up the air, in which we have filled up the air, then what we have seen, that piston is compressed maximum, that meaning till this level this piston is going to compress, so that much of space it will be covered. So that why they are going to compress maximum, because in a gaseous particle lots of space are there between the two particles, so easily they can be compressed. So we can say that the piston third, in which we have filled up the air which is in the form of gas, that compressible maximum. So this activities indicate that the gases are more compressible in the comparison of solid and liquid. That is the solid particle, this is the water, that means liquid particle, this is the air, that is a gas particle. So according to this activity, we can explain that the gases are more compressible in the comparison of liquid and solid. I hope you have understand this activity. Now after that, the second activity that I'm going to discuss with you, that is कि water droplets are present in atmosphere. That means we want to show the presence of water droplets in the atmosphere. Presence of water droplets in the in the atmosphere. That meaning we want to show with the help of an activity presence of water droplets in the atmosphere. In the atmosphere. Now how we can show that ki water droplets are present in the atmosphere? That is also very simple. Suppose I have taken a steel tumbler, yani glass I have taken. Suppose this is a glass, this is a glass, that is we have taken. Now clean the outer surface of glass. This is with a dry cloth, the outer surface should be totally clean. Now fill up some ice cube, in this glass, whatever glass you have taken, that is a ice cube that we have fill up in the glass. As I'm going to fill up the ice cube, these are the ice cube. After 5 to 10 minutes, we have seen that some water droplets are collected on the surface of that glass. That are the water droplets which are collected at the surface of the glass. The reason behind it very simple, because we know that in our atmosphere some water vapor is present. That water vapor is present in the atmosphere. As this water vapor will become in the contact of cold surface of glass, because by putting the ice cube, the outer surface of the glass is going to cold. So as the water vapor will become in the contact of cold surface, so this water vapor that is condense and comes in the form of water droplets, in the form of water droplets. So this water droplets show that some water vapor is present in the atmosphere. So that meaning with the help of this activity we can show that the presence of water vapor in the atmosphere. Now sometime in exam also they are asking the same question कि why in the glass in which a cold water is filled up, some water droplets are comes outside the surface. The same reason is behind this कि if you fill the cold water or ice cube in a glass, then the water vapor that are present in atmosphere, due to this cold surface it is going to condense, and by the process of condensation they are converted into a water droplets which are coming on the surface of the glass. So with the help of this activity we can explain the presence of water vapor in the atmosphere. I hope you have understand both the activities, and these both the activities are very important. Now thank you.